I got to tell you, the Chicago Sky are one of the worst basketball teams I've ever seen. And today, their coach literally just waved the white flag. He quit. He literally just said, Phoenix Mercury, destroy us even more than you're destroying us right now.
The Chicago Sky aren't just struggling, they're unraveling in real time. We've seen bad starts in the WNBA before. Teams fall short, rosters underperform, coaches fumble strategies. But what we're witnessing with the 2025 Chicago Sky isn't just a slow start, it's a full-scale collapse unfolding week by week in painful public fashion. With a dismal 3-9 record, the Sky are off to one of the worst starts in franchise and league history. But even that ugly number doesn't fully capture the dysfunction, disarray, and outright chaos this team is radiating right now. The box scores don't tell the story. The standings can't show you the fear in a coach's eyes or the confusion on a player's face. And if you were unfortunate enough to watch their latest disaster, a 32-point blowout at the hands of the Phoenix Mercury, you know exactly what I mean. It wasn't just a loss, it wasn't even just a bad game, it was a meltdown live on national TV. With no signs of leadership, effort, or hope. The breaking point, a third-quarter surrender down by 20, then 25, then 30. Sky head coach Tyler Marsh finally made a decision in the third quarter, and not the kind of bold, calculated coaching move fans hope for. No, he did what only the most desperate leaders do when the ship is sinking fast. And there's no lifeboat in sight. He benched the entire starting lineup. Not for foul trouble, not for load management, not for any tactical advantage. He benched them because they quit, and in that moment, he quit on them too. Watching Marsh pull his starters looked less like coaching and more like evacuating a burning building. There was no plan, no adjustment. Just a symbolic white flag waved halfway through a nightmare. The message was clear, we're not just losing, we have no idea how to fix it. At the center of it all, Angel Reese, the Sky's front office. Their fans. And much of the media had sky-high expectations for Angel Reese heading into this season. She was supposed to be the future, the cornerstone. The edge Chicago needed to claw its way back to relevance in the post-Candace Parker era. Instead, what we've gotten is a highlight reel of missed assignments, poor shot selection, and visibly shaken confidence. At times, it looks like Reese is playing in quicksand, slow to rotate, unsure on switches, and completely out of rhythm offensively. Yes, she's still a rookie, yes. Development takes time. But when your presumed franchise player can't even crack double digits against a team barely above .500, questions start turning into criticism. And criticism, well, it's turning into ridicule, because at this point, Reese doesn't just look like a struggling rookie, she looks completely lost. Fans have noticed. Social media has noticed, and opposing teams, they're feasting on it. Think that's harsh, maybe. But then you watch her try to defend a pick and roll like a baby giraffe slipping on a frozen pond. And you start to understand the frustration. Is Angel Reese the worst player in the WNBA? I'm not saying it yet, but I won't stop you from typing baby giraffe in the comments if you're feeling the same way. It's not just about the stats, it's about the energy, the effort, the intangibles, and right now, all of that looks like it's circling the drain. No, the Sky's failures aren't all on Reese. There's plenty of blame to go around: coaching, roster construction, veteran inconsistency. But fair or not, when you're marketed as the face of the franchise, the microscope follows you, and right now, that lens is zoomed in on every missed box out, every turnover, and every flat-footed defensive possession. What happens now? Where does this team go from here? Can Marsh reclaim the locker room? Can Reese turn the corner and start playing like the All-American talent she was in college? Can the veterans rally around their young core and stop the bleeding before it becomes a lost season? Or is this just the beginning of a painful, drawn-out rebuild that nobody signed up for? One thing's for sure, the Chicago Sky are unraveling before our eyes. And unless something dramatic changes, and soon, the only thing left to watch will be how far they fall before they hit rock bottom.
Oh my God, this team is garbage. Golly. Man, Angel Reese with a triple single, 9 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. She was a minus 25.
Angel Reese, part 43. Let's get it. National TV stinker. For tantrum. Bang! She only took 1 shot in the game because her teammates refused to give her the ball. On the bright side, at least she has a podcast. Am I right? Bang! Sure, just take your sweet old time getting back on D, huh? I know where to be. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Look at that. Team player. Put her to the All-Star game.
The Chicago Sky didn't just stumble into that matchup against the Mercury, they limped in. Emotionally battered and already knee-deep in a nosedive. The signs were all there for anyone paying attention. They had dropped 5 of their last 6 games, a stretch defined not just by losses, but by the kind of basketball that makes you question if anyone's still steering the ship. At the heart of their collapse? Turnovers, and not just the occasional misstep or forced pass under pressure. We're talking about a league-worst average of 18.9 turnovers per game, a number so staggering it defies the basic fundamentals of professional play. That's not young team growing pains, that's not a few bad possessions. That's a squad trying to conduct open-heart surgery with a pair of boxing gloves, blindfolded. And without anesthesia, this isn't just a team out of sync, they've lost the rhythm, the tempo, and the entire sheet music. The Sky aren't just missing notes, they're playing a different song entirely. Off-key and out of tune. Ball movement has broken down. Offensive sets devolve into chaos within seconds of crossing half-court. Every possession feels like a coin flip between a shot clock violation and a panicked turnover. It's not offense, it's improv jazz with no instruments. And the worst part, it's become predictable. Opposing teams walk into matchups with the Sky knowing full well that pressure will break them. Double teams, traps, zone rotations, none of it has to be fancy. Because this team can't even handle the basics, they're not just spiraling. They've become their own worst enemy, crumbling under the weight of their own mistakes, game after game, quarter after quarter, and as the turnovers pile up like wreckage on a highway, you start to wonder, is this still just a cold streak, or are we watching a season set itself on fire?
Team stinks. Angel Reese not even in top 10 in all-star voting. This team stinks. A triple single, and y'all was out there ranting and raving, talking about her all-star. She should be an all-star. Like, man, come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. This team is terrible.
The warning signs were flashing from the opening tip, but by the time the first quarter ended, the Chicago Sky weren't just losing, they were being dismantled. The Phoenix Mercury came out like sharks, sensing blood in the water, predatory and precise. From the very first possession, they attacked Chicago's soft spots on the perimeter, in the paint, in transition, and the Sky had no answers. The result? A jaw-dropping 31-8 first-quarter beatdown that felt less like a competitive basketball game and more like a demolition project in front of thousands of witnesses. And it wasn't just Phoenix being hot, it was Chicago actively unraveling. In just the first 10 minutes, the Sky managed to cough up the ball 8 times, effectively handing the Mercury 13 free points on a silver platter. These weren't just forced turnovers, they were mental lapses, lazy passes, and panicked decisions that spoke to a team with no confidence, no structure, and no idea what to do once adversity hit. It felt like watching a team stuck in slow motion while the opponent hit fast forward. But as bad as the opening was, the most infamous moment, the one that will live in WNBA low-light reels for years to come, arrived midway through the third quarter. Coming out of the halftime locker room already trailing by double digits, the Sky needed a spark, a run, a pulse. Instead, they flatlined. Phoenix opened the third with an 11-3 blitz, ballooning the lead to 25 points before most fans had returned from the concession stand. And that's when head coach Tyler Marsh made the decision no coach ever wants to make. He called off the fight. Out came Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, not because they were in foul trouble, not because they were gassed, but because he could no longer justify leaving them on the floor to endure the embarrassment. It wasn't a rotation decision, it wasn't strategic, it was damage control. This wasn't just benching the starters, it was a public surrender, a symbolic raising of the white flag in real time, on a national broadcast. Marsh wasn't trying to spark a comeback, he was trying to stop the bleeding before it turned into a televised massacre. For Reese and Cardoso, two rookies expected to be the future of the franchise, it was a humbling moment, yanked not to be saved for tomorrow but to be shielded from today. And for the team as a whole, it was a defining moment of collapse, when your coach has to pull your stars just to protect their confidence from being shattered further. That's not just a tactical adjustment, that's admission of failure. In that moment, it became clear this wasn't just a bad night, this was a meltdown, a reckoning, a flashing red alarm that the Chicago Sky aren't just in trouble, they're in crisis.
Chicago Sky is more like Chicago, why are you on TV? Like, they're embarrassment, bro. There's a reason why the Indiana Fever are on TV all the time, because they actually have a good product, when they have a good game, even a bad game, they're still actually fun to watch. This is horrible. Chicago Sky is an embarrassment, bro. the WNBA definitely screwed up having this game as a national televised game. They screwed up bad.
Let's not forget what was happening on the other side of the court. Because while the Chicago Sky were disintegrating before our eyes, the Phoenix Mercury were playing like their playoff hopes depended on every possession. Urgency radiated off them, energy pulsed through every pass, every rotation, every shot. They weren't just competing, they were hungry, and they smelled weakness from the opening tip. Phoenix's offensive execution was surgical. They shot a scorching 56.5% from the field, slicing through Chicago's defense like it was made of tissue paper, and from long range, they were even deadlier. The Mercury connected on a staggering 57.1% from three-point land, turning the arc into their personal playground, draining shot after shot with effortless rhythm. Leading the charge was Sammy Whitcomb, who didn't just get hot, she went full flamethrower in the second quarter. It was one of those stretches where every shot she took felt inevitable, like the ball had already decided it was going in before it left her fingertips. Whitcomb knocked down 5 three-pointers in the span of minutes, looking less like a basketball player and more like someone casually winning prizes at a carnival shooting booth. Except the stakes here were real, and the damage she was doing wasn't just for fun. Every time Chicago tried to mount even the smallest response, Phoenix had an answer: a fast break, a dagger three, a crisp backdoor cut. The Mercury weren't just winning, they were dominating in every phase of the game: spacing, tempo, intensity, poise. They looked like a team in total control of their identity, while the Sky looked like they were still trying to remember where the locker room was. By the final buzzer, Phoenix had secured their first 100-point game of the season, a symbolic peak in a night full of highs, and Chicago? They limped to the finish line with 21 turnovers, barely scraping together 86 points, many of which came in meaningless garbage time after the game had long been decided. It wasn't a contest, it was a clinic, a masterclass in execution, energy, and teamwork from Phoenix, and a brutal, televised unraveling from a Sky team that looked like it had no business sharing the same floor.
I don't know what's wrong with them. But, like, they could lose this game by 40. Like, I don't know. I don't know what is wrong with this team. Because today it wasn't even... I don't even think that this was an effort thing. Like, I don't even think this was an effort problem. But at the end of the day, like, they're just not.
But the true spectacle of the night didn't end with the final buzzer. No, the scoreboard may have told one brutal story, but the real encore performance came later at the post-game press conference, where the lights were softer, the microphones were live, and Angel Reese stepped up for what could only be described as a dramatic monologue of elite-level optimism. Despite a night where nearly everything went wrong, despite shooting a career-worst 31.3% from the field, despite being outplayed on both ends of the court, despite being benched in the third quarter in what looked like an emotional mercy pull, Reese stood at the mic like a veteran politician after a landslide loss, somehow trying to reframe the wreckage as a growth opportunity. This wasn't just a routine post-game interview, it was a TED Talk in sneakers, poised, polished, and brimming with buzzwords. She spoke of process, of hustle, of staying grounded. She leaned hard into the narrative of building character, leaning into the adversity, learning from the pain. In her mind, this wasn't a 30-point meltdown, it was a character-building workshop, a masterclass in mental toughness. It wasn't a humiliation, it was fuel. It wasn't a collapse, it was a foundation. You almost had to admire the confidence it took to try and sell that kind of spin while the ashes of a 21-turnover loss were still smoldering behind her, and yet the facts were harder to ignore than ever. Reese finished with a stat line that didn't scream growth, it whispered irrelevance. Just 2 rebounds, a jaw-dropping figure for a 6'3" inches forward whose entire reputation in college was built on dominating the glass. Even more jarring? Watching opponents have her size muscle past her, box her out, and snag board after board, like she wasn't even there. But none of that seemed to faze her. The tone was unwavering, the message consistent: trust the process. And for a moment, if you closed your eyes and forgot the context, it almost worked. Until you remembered the scoreboard, until you replayed the third quarter benching, until you looked at the standings and realized the Sky are 3-10 and tumbling fast. There's confidence, and then there's cosplaying as a leader while the team burns down around you. And that's what made the post-game even more surreal. The disconnect between words and reality, between what happened on the court and what was said behind the mic, was vast. This wasn't just a performance gap, it was a gulf. The scoreboard said disaster, the stat sheet screamed dysfunction. But the microphone, according to Reese, this was all just part of the plan.